want to sit up on blanket or blocks, 2 or 3, you know, being high can feel really good in your hips sometimes. So, and if cross-legged does not feel good and you want some blocks to put underneath your legs, here on the outside of your legs, do. And just close your eyes and lengthen upward, let your shoulders release down. In fact, just easily let your shoulders circle a little bit. Just mindfully, very slowly, feeling these slow shoulder rolls here. When you're ready, you just stop and let them roll the other way. Real easily to find then the shoulders just melting down away from your ears as you lengthen up through the top of your head. And watch your breath now. In and out, full, deep, even breaths. So not forcing. Accepting those breaths. Let's start to move forward and back with the breath, letting our exhalations bring us forward and our inhalations bring us back up. Taking your time, letting yourself feel nice and open across your chest. Keeping your back nice and long, does not matter how far forward you come. And the next time that you come back up, let's release our hands on out beside us, lightly touching the ground here. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead, really reaching away from yourself, and then exhale the hands down through the midline in front of your chest. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline, and on the exhale, opening the arms on back out and down. And let's switch the crossbar legs. Bring your other leg in front if you are cross-legged. If not, that's fine. Stay the way you are. And then we'll come forward and back again with our breath, letting our exhalations bring us forward and our inhalations bring us back up. Again, keeping your back nice and long. It's like you're moving as one piece, one nice long piece. And then the next time you come back upright, let yourself stay here. We're going to inhale here at center, and on the exhale, we'll twist to our right, bringing ourselves around. Left hand can come to your right knee. Right fingertips just lightly touching the ground somewhere back there behind you. Waking up the spine. And inhale. And let your exhale bring you back on around through center and all the way into the other direction. Again, letting the left fingertips just lightly touch back there. And one more inhale. And then use your belly as you exhale to come on back around into center again. And now we're going to bring our right leg around behind us like this, so that you kind of have this front leg. It can be about parallel to the long edge of your mat, or it can be a little further over. Because all we're going to do from here, you want to just get kind of comfortable in the alignment that you have here. We're going to twist towards that front leg, towards your left leg. and then we're gonna come forward. So you may decide you wanna grab a block and get up and stay up high on a block. Release yourself there. You might wanna go all the way folding over your leg. You might even wanna put your head on a block. So just be where you can. Let yourself ease your way into feeling that hip there. Good, one more breath. And now come up a little bit, because all we're gonna do is send our left arm behind us. Come onto your forearm or your hand. And now we're gonna open out into a really long side stretch. Just letting that right arm come overhead and coming into releasing through the right side of the body. Really feel that length. It's almost like you're reaching your right knee farther and farther away from you. One more breath. And then we'll turn back to be right out over our leg again. You can come up higher. And then we'll walk up. We're going to switch the legs. So just swing your legs on around in front and then swing them on over to the other side. And again, take your time as you twist towards that front knee. And then you start to come on forward. Now you may want to stay up high. You can put your hands down and stay right there. You can decide whether you want to fold over the leg. Maybe you want to use a block. Maybe you want to make a pillow for your head with your hands. Breathing into the low back. One more breath. And now we'll come up enough to, again, shift over to that right hand or forearm and then open into a really long side stretch here now. Imagine you're reaching that left knee away from you, really finding space between the ribs there on the left side. Nice full breaths. One more breath. And now we'll turn on back towards that leg a little bit here so we can walk back up. And go ahead and shift your legs back on around in front of you and separate your feet a little bit. Not a real huge wide angle, but just a little bit. Flex your feet and then point your feet. And flex again and point your feet. And then flex again and let yourself with flexed feet come a little bit forward from here. See if you can feel your inner thighs. Hands can be on your legs, on the floor, doesn't matter. Come as far as feels good to you to open up your inner thighs. Good. One more breath. And we're going to come on back up, bring our legs on around, shake them out a little bit, do some little wiggle waggles with your legs. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you need a blanket to come into your cat-cows, if you feel like your wrists are really not up to being on your hands flat on the mat there, come to fists or use a blanket. And once you get there, shift a little bit, let your hips shift and just let them shift side to side. So you're kind of shifting your weight from one knee to the other and let the head do whatever it wants in response. So you just kind of release a little bit there side to side. And then come on back into center and let's come on into our cat-cows very mindfully, easily flowing with your breath. Appreciating each of the poses, whether you decide to stay in cat or cow for a little bit or continuously move through. Think about your inner elbows turn to face each other. And we're going to finish off the one we're on. Come to more neutral spine. And let's bring our left forearm down onto the mat, about parallel to the front edge, and reach our right hand towards the front of your mat there, lowering your head down onto your left forearm. Now spread your fingers wide of both hands. Press into both hands gently. Feel that right elbow hugging inward a little bit. And now really focus on letting your heart melt down a little bit towards the ground. Breathing. Good. One more breath. And now bring your right hand back by your head so you can press up, and we're just going to switch. Right forearm comes parallel to the front edge of your mat. Left arm reaches overhead, head coming down onto your forearm. Now spread your fingers wide. Press down into the hands. Really press equally if you can. And then imagine your left elbow hugging inward a little bit. And then, of course, that heart melting down. Feels really good in the upper back. Good. One more breath. And then bring your left hand back. Bring your hands underneath you. And now just come forward like you're coming into a half plank. So you can stay right there. Just a little bit of a half plank with your knees down. If you want to shift your hips down more and come a little more towards a cobra for a breath or two, you can. And then we're going to shift back again, hips towards the heels, like you're going into child's pose, but we're not going to stay. We're going to come forward again into that like a half plank feeling here, knees on the ground. If you want to continue into the back, then you can, not necessary. And then we'll come back again into towards child's pose. And this time we're going to come up to our hands and knees, and we're going to curl our toes under, and we're going to lift our knees up and back into down dog. Walk a little bit if you want. Ease your way into your dog. If you need to pick your foot up, each foot one at a time, of course, and circle the foot around a little bit, do. And then see if you can come back and find your dog really equally. Hands spread wide, elbows hugging in, equal reaching back through your sitting bones. Doesn't matter whether your knees are bent or straight. Great. And then we'll lower our knees on back down to the mat. We're going to step our left foot forward. You might want to grab your blocks. We're going to leave the right knee down and let ourselves shift forward into a little bit of a lunge here with the back knee down on the floor. Now you might want to go higher on your blocks, or you might want to go lower. And if you need a blanket underneath that right knee, put it there. Just opening up through the front of the hip here. Don't have to make it huge. If you want to lift your left hand or both hands up to your thigh, you can. That's up to you. Arms overhead if you'd rather. You know, just be mindful. Especially if you're feeling a little cold, not quite warm enough to do those. And then come on down. We're going to shift back with that foot, left foot back, and right foot's going to shift forward. Again, as you start to experiment coming forward with your hips, it's up to you how high you want to stay. Using the blocks there, pressing into the top of that right foot, thinking about whether you want to release your hands off the blocks or not. You can hold on to your thigh. You can have your hands at your heart or arms overhead. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to bring that right knee back again. Left foot forward again. Now, let's lift up the back knee and straighten both legs out for a second here. So let your right heel descend directly behind you. You might want to adjust the length of your stance because we're going to actually, in a second here, bend that front knee and come into lunge. But at first, have both legs straight. And then go ahead and bend that left knee. Find your lunge here. Feel that zip up of the low belly, length through the low back, through the whole back body on you. Good. One more breath. And now let's step that left foot back, step your right foot forward, straighten that right knee, and let that left heel descend directly back towards the mat. Make sure you're not rolling on your right foot there. And sometimes the tendency to roll to the outside is pretty intense. You can always lift your toes up if that helps you. Even out there through the foot. and then we're going to bend that front knee, finding lunge. If you need to inch your toes a little farther forward to go into a longer lunge, by all means do. Shoulders down away from your ears. Good. And let's come on forward from here into our Uttanasana. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Releasing wherever you choose to be. You know that. Support if you need. Let go now through your face. Imagine just releasing all around your eyes, your mouth. Smoothing out your forehead. Feeling the breaths fully all the way in and out. And as we now bend our knees, we're going to press into our feet and rise straight on up to standing. Inhaling the arms out and up overhead. And once the arms are overhead, clasp your hands together. Turn your palms away from the top of the head and press upward. If you need your arms to come forward because of your shoulders, do it. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Feel equal through the sides of the body. Try not to lock your knees. Thighs engaging upward. Tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. One more breath here, feeling as equal as you can through the sides of your body. And then keep your right arm up overhead, lower your left arm down, and let's bend both elbows. Put that left hand behind you. You might even want to reach your hands towards each other behind you on your back a little bit. Just coming into that openness now through the chest, really letting yourself, try not to look down, look forward. And then we'll extend both arms back up overhead, nice and long again. And then letting the right arm come down alongside you. And when the elbows bend, the right arm comes back behind you and the left hand comes down. And you may decide you want to try to reach your hands closer together. Breathing equal through your feet. Good. One more breath. And then release both arms back up overhead again. Mountain with arms overhead. Turn your pinkies towards each other. As you inhale, if you feel like you want to look up, do. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. And we'll step the right foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhaling into your downward facing dog pose. Take your time here. Walk if you need. Spread those fingers nice and wide. And on the next inhale, let's come out to plank. Now from here, see if you can lower your left knee down to the floor, almost all the way. Point the foot and press into the top of the left toes. And then go back again to your full plank and do the other side. So you come to the top of the right foot, press into it. Knee isn't quite on the floor. And then come on back to your full plank. And now see if you can just shift a little forward and back in your plank. Press into your toes, go a little bit farther forward. And now we're going to come to lowering down. So if you want to put both knees down first, do. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come into just a little Sphinx pose. So bringing your forearms there onto the mat, letting your elbows be right under your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. For a second here, turn your palms up. Turn your hands over. Let your thumbs reach down towards the floor, your pinkies too. Your thumbs probably won't make it, but just let yourself feel nice and spread wide with your hands. And then turn those hands back over now. Really feeling that support underneath the hands. One more breath. And now come down a little bit. Slide your hands back by your chest. And then we're going to come on back into down dog, either through a full, a half push-up, or back from hands and knees. And we'll bring our right foot forward and come into lunge here. And we'll make our way back into our standing forward bend. So easy. Bend your knees if you need. You know that. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Enjoy the weight of your head head around, move your head around. If you need to move your arms to a different place, move your arms to a different place. One more breath. And as we bend our knees, we're going to press into our feet equally and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now we're going to come forward with a flat back and stay parallel to the floor. Knees are bent. You're like an airplane. You're reaching out through the fingertips here, reaching out straight out through the crown of your head and back through your tailbone. And then bring your hands together in front of your chest and twist to your left. Let your right elbow come towards your left knee. And then we'll come on back into center. And we're going to twist the other way. Left elbow towards the right knee. And then we'll come on back into center. One more breath here. And as we exhale, we're going to fold forward over our legs. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. And exhale your left foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Now let's do this a couple of times. Inhale your way out to plank and stay there. Bend your elbows just a little bit and then come back to straight arms. And then head back into your down dog again. So again, come on out to plank. Bend your elbows a little bit. Come back to straighter arms. And then come on back into your down dog. We'll go one more time. Coming out to that plank. If you can, bend your elbows a little bit. Back to straight arms, back to down dog. Walk in your dog a little bit and let your head turn from side to side. And then, come on back to full dog. Next inhale, come on out to that plank. And you'll lower down however you choose, all the way down to the floor. And coming into your cobra of choice, whether it's a little cobra or you press into your hands and go fully up, totally up to you. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. And we'll bring the left foot forward, finding lunge here. And then all the way back into our standing forward bend. If you're able to hold your elbows, do. If that's not good for your back, don't. And breathe. Even, full, deep breaths. And then let's let our hands come on back up to our hips. Bend our knees and rise on up. Inhaling the arms out and up. And on our exhale, bringing our hands down together in front of our hearts. Take a breath here. We're about to move with the breath easily, letting the breath really control the tempo of how we're moving through our sun salutations. And see if you can just let it flow, right? Let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now once they're up there, bend your elbows, put your hands kind of to the top of the back of the head, and then lean your head back a little bit into the hands as your elbows rise up. Try not to lock your knees. Feel the tailbone still reaching down towards between your heels. One more inhale. And then reach those arms up long. If you prefer to look up at your hands, do. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, open the arms and folding forward. We're going to move with the breath. Inhale into that long back. Exhale, right foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale carry you to your plank. And let your exhale lower you down. And you'll inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms flowing all the way to the top. Let your exhale bring you forward. Inhaling into that long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale, down dog. Your inhale will carry you to that plank, and your exhale will lower you down how you choose. And on your inhale, come into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms all the way up. And on the exhale, we'll fold forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. And we're going to find down dog. Place your hands. Does not matter whether you jump or you walk your way back. Once you get in dog, do what feels good, you know? Wiggle around if you need to. Seriously, I mean, take your time. Let yourself do what feels really good for you to do. Walk or wag your tail. Good. And come on back to meet in full dog here. Hug your elbows towards each other. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Reach back equally through your sitting bones. And we're going to bring the left foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two, and you might want to block handy by your foot there. Line your heels up. Bring your hands behind you for a second and interlace your fingers. And let that chest just open up naturally here. So you're not forcing anything. It's just once the hands come back, the shoulders want to open nice and wide. Feel the tailbone dropping down. Check your alignment of your left knee. Just peek down, make sure it's not going out beyond your toes. Feel the feet in the floor. Good, and then we'll start to release the hands and float the arms on straight on out from the shoulders, reaching out through the fingertips. Softness at the tops of the shoulders. Imagine you're looking out beyond the wall, really. So you don't really focus on your hand or the wall. It's almost like you're looking through and out beyond. And feel that same sense with the back hand. And then we'll bring our right hand on down to our right hip. We're going to straighten the left knee out. And we're going to bring that left hand down for a triangle. Now me, I like to use a block. You can use your leg. You can use the floor. It's up to you. Thighs engaging upward. If you can roll that right shoulder up, keep the hand down for a second. In fact, see if you can put your right hand behind onto your low back with the palm facing out for a second, unless it bothers your shoulder. Some of you might even slide the hand over to the top of your left hip, if that feels good in your shoulder. That's up to you. Again, just feeling that openness there through the chest. And then release the arm so it can start to rise straight on up from your shoulder there, straight up, palm facing towards your front. Feel your thighs engaging upward. Now turn to look down at your foot for a second. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside of the foot. Lift your toes up. And then let the toes come back down. Turn your head to look forward. And then some of you might even want to continue to turn the head to look up. Pressing that right hand forward a little bit. And then bring your gaze on back forward. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into warrior two. Pressing those feet away from each other to get you right back into your warrior two. And then letting our hands come down, we're going to turn our feet more parallel. You might need to adjust your stance. We're making our way into a wide-legged forward bend, which means if you like to grab blocks for underneath your hands, do. And adjust your stance. How wide apart your feet are is up to you. Start to bend a knee at a time if you need to. We're attempting to be fairly parallel with our feet. Everybody's hips are different. So sometimes turning the toes out a little bit is helpful. If you're really flexible, turning your toes in a little bit kind of protects your hamstring attachments. So take your time, and when you're ready to come back to center, decide if you want to set up your block some way to help you to feel more release in your upper body. Or go ahead and bring your hands down towards the floor if you'd rather. You can experiment until you get to a place where it's just like, oh, I can relax. Once you get to that place, see if you can just bring your focus to when you inhale, thinking the word so. And And when you exhale, thinking the word hum. So simply inhaling so, exhaling hum. One more nice full deep breath. And from here, we're going to walk our way back over to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And we'll make our way from there back into down dog. So once you're in your dog, you're kind of on your own. You know, if you need to move in any way or do a vinyasa or a kriya, you're welcome to come out to planks. Move through your chaturanga if you'd rather into an up dog. Or maybe you'd just rather put your knees down and rest. Maybe you'd rather stay in down dog. Maybe you'd rather open your hips in some manner. And take your time. Let it feel good, really natural feeling. Good, and then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And from here, we're going to bring the right foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior two on the other side. Again, you know, if you like your block candy, have your block candy there. Take your time, get your feet set. Check out your alignment here. Bring your hands behind you. Clasp your hands behind you now. Let that open feeling happen across your chest. It's not forced, just from bringing the hands back. You feel very open, released, and wide across the chest. Easy in your shoulders. And then we'll release the arms. We're going to stretch the arms on out, straight out from the shoulders. So again, feeling that sense of reaching equally through both sets of fingertips. But bringing your gaze like you're looking out beyond the wall, out to something quite far away. And the same feeling that you're reaching that back hand way far back, way behind you, almost something you can't quite see. And then we'll lower our left hand down to our left hip. We're going to straighten the right knee out, bringing the right hand down for a triangle. So again, you know me, I like to block it. It can be in front of or behind my ankle or my foot. Let your left hand be behind you if you can, or even shifting it over to the top of the right hip. Thighs lifting up towards the hips, really engaging upward with those thighs, creating space in your knees. And then extend that left arm straight up from your shoulder if your shoulder lets you. Palm facing forward. Turn now to look down at your right foot. Lift your right toes up if you can. That'll really be telling. Can tell you if you're rolling to the outside. And then let the toes come on back down. Slowly turn to look forward. And then if you want to continue to look up, press the left hand a little forward like you're pushing into an invisible wall in front of you with your palm. Maybe it'll feel good to look up then. One more breath. And now we're going to bend that left knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come, getting right back into the core, softening the shoulders. And bringing our hands on down here now, we'll turn our feet more parallel. Again, we're going to come forward. Grab blocks if you'd like. Once you get your hands down and bend a knee at a time a couple of times just to even out, then let's come back to center and walk our hands over towards the right. You can go all the way if you want to the outside of the foot or the ankle, or just be on your block in front of your foot. And then try rising your right hand on up to your low back and rolling the shoulder up a little bit if it's possible. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to walk our hands back over to the left. Again, you can stay on blocks, more in front of. You don't have to go all the way to the foot. If you can bring your left hand on up to your left hip, do. If you like to look up to the ceiling a little bit, go for it. And then we'll come on back into center, bringing yourself back in either onto the blocks or your hands. And now for a second here, turn your toes out. So you're turned out a little bit here, and bend one knee at a time there. And that might be enough, just a little bit of one knee bending and then the other. If you like to go deeply here, you can bend that right knee, pick your left foot up except for the heel stays on the floor, and then shift your hips down if you want to come a little deeper. Totally optional. And then when you shift and go the other side again, you may just decide you want to have the foot come up and be on your heel and not shift lower with your hips. Or you may decide to use your right hand to support you and let your hips shift down. And then when you're ready, coming on back into center, getting your feet more parallel again. And then again, get comfortable. Whatever that means to you, you know. Supporting yourself with blocks, letting yourself bring your hands between your feet, or holding on to your ankles. Just be mindful. Imagine the feet are gently pressing away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, and feel your inner thighs want to melt their way behind you. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to walk our hands on back out. We are going to walk back to that right foot. Come on back into lunge and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So again, you need to walk a little bit, you need to come out for a plank, you need to put your knees down and rest in child's pose. Maybe you decide you don't want to do any back bends, but you like staying in your dog and coming into plank. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog. From here, this time our left foot's going to come forward, and we're coming up for warrior one. Have both your blocks handy here on the front of your mat. Ease your way on up to warrior one, reaching your arms forward. Once you get your legs set, let the arms rise on up overhead, turning the pinkies towards each other. Feeling that lift through the front of the body. Actually, bring your hands behind your head for a second, clasped, and let your head be supported by your hands. Let it feel really good to press the head gently into your hands there. Feel the engagement of the belly. And then we'll extend the arms up long again. And then from here, we're going to straighten that front leg out, lower our arms down, and turn your palms to face in towards each other. Now, as you come forward for pyramid, you're going to reach the hands back behind you as you feel your thighs lifting upward and you come on forward. Now, only as far as you want to go when the hands are back like that. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to put my hands down, put your hands down. So that when you do get your hands down, you're using whatever support you need. And if you need to readjust when you get your hands down, do that too. Either a shorter or longer stance. Lengthen out over that front leg. Feel your thighs engaging upward. And then shift your weight to your right hand, bring your left hand to your left hip, and start to roll that left shoulder up into revolve triangle. Whether you keep your hand down or stretch the left arm up, that's up to you. Really stay grounded in that back heel. One more breath. And then bring your left hand back down. Now, if you want to fold over that front leg, do. Let yourself release if that feels like a big release to you. Good. And then come on back to your lunge. Bend that front knee. Find your lunge here. Release that back heel directly behind your foot. And then twisting again with that left hand to the left hip and turning to your left. You're more than welcome to stretch your left arm up. Good. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose here. Take your time. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times if you need to. Come down in child's pose if you want. If you want to open your hips, you can lift one leg up at a time and stack your hips up a little bit. You can do those vinyasas or kriyas. Good. Let's meet back in down dog. And right foot forward, coming up for that warrior one. So again, getting square to the front of your mat. Reaching your arms forward once you get pretty set here in your warrior one legs. Feel that back foot in the floor. Rising the arms on up. Letting yourself turn your pinkies more towards each other. Maybe looking up a little bit here. And then again, bend your elbows. Bring your hands to the back of your head clasped. And rest the back of your head into your hands. That heavy head can feel so good to be supported here. Inhaling up the front of the body, exhaling down the back. And we're going to extend the arms back up into our warrior one here. One more breath. And then we're going to lower our arms down. We're going to straighten that front knee out. If you have to adjust your stance to get your hips more square, do. And now think about your palms facing each other. Arms are going to reach back. And then we're going to start to come forward. As the hands reach back, the head reaches forward. Take your time, put your hands down whenever you want. Use the belly here. Feeling the backs of the legs, deeply engaging. Once you get ready to put your hands down, you decide how high or low you want to go. And once you get your hands down, you may need to readjust. Getting squared off in your hips. And now keeping your left hand on support. Bring your right hand to your right hip and roll that right shoulder up. Think about feeling the hip pointer bones coming towards each other. Revolve triangle. And then we'll go ahead and bring the hand back down. And if you want to bow over that front leg, now's the time. You can let yourself fold over. Not if you don't want to. So pay attention to how it feels for you. Good. And now we're going to come back forward with our hands so we can bend the front knee and find lunge. Reaching that left heel directly behind us. Adding that twist now, right hand to the right hip. You can stretch the right arm up if you choose. Reaching into that inner heel. Reaching through the top of the head, all that space in your spine. One more breath. And then go ahead and lower your hand back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Get your feet hip distance apart and parallel. Bend both your knees quite deeply. Let yourself feel your belly kind of coming onto your thighs. And then go ahead and adjust how feels good for you. You can have your hands come up on your back. You can clasp your hands if you want to behind your head. You can hold your elbows or put your elbows above your knees if you need that support for your back. And just be with your breath. Easy. Watching the breaths in and out. And then let's bend our knees and press into our feet so we can rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Finding mountain pose here real easily and quietly. And then go ahead and unfold your arms. Shake everything out a little bit. and we are going to bring our mats into a wall. So take your time, drag your mat on into a wall, and have your blocks handy there for a little while in case you want them. But first, let's do a little balance. So we'll come into a little tree pose, but let's play with it this way for a second, all right? So if you put your left hand on the wall, you're standing on your left foot, you're going to just take time to find this angle of this right foot coming out beside you. So it's like a tree pose. When you put your foot in tree pose, your knee is not directly to the side. It's about, for most people, about a 45-degree angle. So play for a little bit. You can have your hand on the wall. You're going to touch your toes, your right toes out beside you, and then you're going to bring the foot in a couple of times. So you touch the toes, you bring the foot below or above your knee. So you feel this action in your hip, and you can tell that your hip is kind of staying the same, right? So the hips are staying fairly level. Same thing when you put the toe down on the floor or when you bring the foot up to the inside of the leg. And then decide, bring the foot up where you like it for tree pose. So either to the inner thigh above the knee or below the knee. Take your time now, feel the foot coming into your leg. See if you can maybe bring your hands to your heart or arms overhead. If you're not in a good balance day to day, don't worry about it. Just come down and start over. Put your foot down if you need to. Use your hand on the wall if you need to. But you can play with your arms doing different things. You know, hands can come behind you. Arms can be overhead. Some people like to put their hands even on top of their head or at the back of their head, right? One more breath. And then we're going to come on down and we're going to turn around and do the other side. So take care of that leg you're standing on for a second if you need to. Shake it out a little. So this seems like not much when you point your foot out beside you like this. You have this outward hip rotation. You know you don't have your leg way out so your hips are cockeyed, but the hips are square. So when you point the foot out like that and then bring it in for your tree, and you can keep holding on, it's actually kind of a lot of work to bring the foot out to the floor and then up for your tree. But you can see that the hip stays the same. You've got that turnout going there, that outward rotation in your hip. So then next time you bring it in for tree, put the foot where you like, below or above your knee. Take your time, feel that sense of the foot gently coming into your inner leg. Find a spot you can look at, right, that you can keep your focus on. And if you need to keep holding the wall, do. If you can experiment a little bit with arms doing different things, you can. Ready, let yourself come on down. We're going to turn our left hand back to the wall, and we're going to bend our left knee, and if you can reach back and get your foot, do. If you can't, don't worry, just flex your foot, feel your quad. If you do have your foot, you can pull the heel in a little bit towards your buttocks so you get a little stretch through your quad there. And then if you can, start to press the foot into your hand and send your knee back a little bit as your chest comes a little bit forward. And in dancer's pose, you can practice a little bit of balance if you choose to. I mean, you can go farther if you want, or you can just make it a little bit smaller. Let yourself just enjoy the balance, right? And then we're going to come on down, and we're going to switch. So again, bending that knee. If you can't get the foot, no worries. Just flex the foot. Draw the heel in towards your buttocks. If you have the foot, try to pull the heel in more so you get a real stretch there through your quad. But then when you start to pull the foot away from you, like you're trying to straighten your leg out, You can start to come forward with your torso a little bit. Let the knee come behind you. Decide if you want to practice a little balance there. Good. And then let's come on back down, turn on around, bring our feet back to the wall here now, and come out into child's pose with your toes touching the wall if you can. And you know, if your full child's pose is too much for you, stay somewhat forward on your forearms. If you're okay to bring your arms alongside your legs, let your palms face up. Big toes together, knees apart. Nice, full, deep breaths. Good, and now reach your arms long overhead. Stretch your fingers, really spread your fingers. And actually look at your hands for a second. So you want your hands more towards the outsides of your shoulders, not the insides of your shoulders. So a little more towards the outsides of your shoulders. And then come on up to all fours. Let's curl our toes under and reach back into a down dog with our heels up that wall. If you don't have a wall at home, you can still do this down dog, freestanding. You don't have to have the wall. Now I know some of you, your wrists are like, I don't want to do this hardly any time. You can come down if you want. You can go to your forearms. Some of you might want to stay and put one foot up the wall with your hands on the floor instead of forearms, if that feels good. You know, you can play with one foot at a time. You can walk up the wall if you want. You can get your body into more of that 90-degree angle if you choose, where you have 90-degree angle at your hips, which gets your shoulders right over your wrists or right over your elbows if you're down for dolphin. So just preparations for handstands or forearm stands that are just fun, supported. You know, you can play in here in the studio however you like. I mean, if you would rather come down and rest, do it. If you'd rather let yourself release into another pose, do that. Take your time and to rest. You rest how you want. If you'd rather rest sitting up, do. If you'd rather rest in child's pose, take a few breaths. And we are going to head down onto our bellies on the floor. So if you're comfortable to do that now, you can come on down and let yourself reach back towards the wall behind you. Actually, see if you can get, if you have a wall, get close enough to where when you flex your feet, the balls of the feet reach the baseboard or the wall. And then put your head down on your hands, let your knees bend, let your ankles circle, release there. Good, and then bring the feet back down. So now you can feel the wall again, okay? And then put your right foot up on the wall. Straighten your leg out and press into the ball of that foot there on the wall. So you need to be close enough to where when that leg is straight and it's up higher than the baseboard, you can feel the pressure into the wall with the ball of the foot. Good, now bring that foot down and try the other ones. Left one goes up, so when you press into the wall, the hip pointer more than likely comes off the floor. Good, and then bend that knee back down. Now from here, see if you can come up a little bit higher so your head is off your hands. You don't have to go real high. And you can still keep your arms. Let's reach towards the front corners of the mat. And then, see about putting your right foot back up on the wall, your left foot back up on the wall. Engage your belly. See how you feel about this. You know, you might be pressing more into the toes a little now. See if you can float your arms up a little bit. Don't go high. Keep the belly working. And then release down. Bend your knees. Bring your heels close to your buttocks. If you can reach back and get hold of the top of your feet, do. And pull your heels in towards your buttocks. And then press the feet into your hands. Let your head float up. And if you want to go higher, that is totally up to you. You can lift the feet up in the air, which brings the thighs up into a little bow pose, or not. And then we'll release to come back down. And we're going to come back towards pose of a child from here. So adjusting yourself on back, shifting back. Once you get towards your child's pose, let's thread the needle with our right arm coming under and come down onto the right side of your head. Now you can put your left hand under your head if that's better. Or you can stretch the left arm out overhead. So whichever feels best. We're going to slowly come up and we're going to go the other way. Left arm goes under. I forgot to say that your left palm can turn down or up, whichever feels best for your shoulder. Same thing with that right arm. If it stretches out overhead long and that feels better, or maybe you just want to bend the elbow and let it release, or even put your hand under your head. Good. And one more breath. Good. And we're going to come on up from here. Now, we're going to turn over, and we're going to use the wall and put our feet to the wall. Have your blocks handy, all right? So that when you turn like this, you're going to turn and put your feet up the wall, lying on your back, right? Feet on the wall. And just take it easy. You know, if you need to do a couple of little pelvic tilts when you get there, do it. So let yourself just be really mindful of relaxing your back however you can. Good, and now just cross your right thigh over your left thigh for a second. Just that woman cross-legged. And then draw your knees in towards your chest, just to flex through both the feet. Let the outer hip release a little bit there. And then put your left foot back on the wall, uncross. And we'll go to the other side. Left thigh comes on top. Flex through that foot and then draw the knees in. Hold on wherever you want. Flex through both feet. And then put the foot back on the wall and let's uncross the legs and let yourself from here think about grabbing a block. All right, you may want to get a little closer to the wall, you may not, because you're going to push into your feet, lift your hips up and put a block underneath yourself, underneath your low back, like supported bridge. Now with the feet up like this instead of on the floor, sometimes it feels good to go higher. So if you're like, that feels pretty good, I want to go higher, you can go to the next level of the block, or you can put 2 blocks stacked underneath yourself and let yourself find your supported bridge that way with your feet up high like that. And you can really roll your shoulders under when you've got that block under you. If none of this feels good at all, don't do any of it. Be where you can. Now if you are kind of up there, you feel okay, roll your shoulders under you.
So you're up on a block. You should be able to pretty easily roll your shoulders. You don't feel your spine at all on the floor. It's really the muscles in the back, right? In the back of the shoulders. So bend your elbows 90 degrees, press into the upper arms. And then maybe you want to lift your hips up a little bit. You might not, or you might. Depends on you. If it feels good, do it. If you'd rather just support yourself on that block, do it. So don't do anything that doesn't feel good. Some of you might even want to just relax, straighten your legs out, rest on the blocks, and let your feet rest on the wall with your legs long. That feels pretty good too. So just play for a second. Now, those of you who are proficient in shoulder stands, plow poses, man, feel free, you know. You can support your back with your hands if you lift up off these blocks. And you can play with one foot coming away from the wall. As long as you have, you know, those shoulders rolled under, your back is not into the wall. You know, you can practice a little bit. So don't force anything. And you come down when you're ready, you know that. So if you're already down, that's fine. You just bring your knees into your chest. If you're still playing a little bit, go right ahead. All down in here. So let's have your knees into your chest and stretch your arms out beside you into a T position comfortably. And let your knees come over to the right. Now, you know, if they don't want to go all the way to the floor comfortably in this twist, grab that block and let your legs rest on your block so you're not going too far down and you can release in the twist. So find a way where you can feel the left shoulder released into the floor. You may even want to turn your head to look to the left. And then when you're ready to come on up into center, take your time. Let yourself release to the other side however you need. So again, if you need a block to be shifted over there and let your legs rest on a block rather than going to the floor, do. Again, once you get your shoulders released, if turning your head, just rolling your head to look to the right feels good, do it. Take your time. When you do feel ready to come out of the twist, once you get out of it, do what your body wants to do right now. And that could be any number of things. So take your time. You know, if you feel like you want to get close to the wall, stretch your legs up the wall, feel more than happy to do that. Maybe you need another couple of little twists. Maybe you want to turn around for Shavasana because that's more comfortable for you to get the way that you usually are. But take your time. And I'm going to walk around here in the studio to bring stuff. So if anyone needs a bolster or a blanket, it is chilly this morning, especially we got pretty heated up and it is cool in here. Let me know if you need any kind of cover, bolster under knees. Same thing at home. Get comfortable.
Let yourself feel how your neck feels. If you need to put support underneath the back of your head, do. And then just appreciate the ground underneath you. Feeling that firmness of the floor. Knowing that that firmness really allows you to release a little deeper. That contrast between the firmness of the floor and the softness of your body. So if you need to move your arms, your legs a little bit, do. Get comfortable up into your shoulders and your hips. As you feel now that easy breath in and out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. Just accepting your breaths. And just give your body the chance during these few minutes to benefit from all you've just done. Simply by letting yourself completely and fully relax. to come in and go out more fully, not forcing, but just really easily accepting deeper breaths, fuller breaths. And letting your fingers and your toes maybe start to feel like wiggling and moving, your hands and your feet. Moving up through your extremities to arms and legs. Let your body move the way you need, whether you need to bend or stretch, straighten, do what feels good. You know to take your time. You can stay on your back, you can roll to either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to come onto your side into a fetal position, you might want to stay for a few breaths to just give the brain and the body a little bit longer to adjust. All right to rise to sitting. Just float your way up if you can. Stay nice and soft, relaxed. Let your eyes stay closed. Let yourself sit comfortably and bring your awareness back into watching your breath when you can. Next exhale, allow your hands gently to come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Friday.